Namo Vishnupadaya Krishnaprestaya Bhutale Srimati Vedanta Swami Namite Vishnupadaya Srimati Vedanta
Bro, you can start.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We welcome all the devotees for this morning Srimad Bhagavatam session. So thank you all very much for joining. Machitta Madgata Purna Vorente Parasparam Katentas Mam Nityam Tushanti Chara Manchicha. This is the only happiness for the devotees to discuss about Krishna Katha. So today we are reading from the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the signs of God. So we are starting from chapter number 2, Hiranyakashipu, the king of demons. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shlakya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Tapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savdutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Sha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pungurangayate Girumit Kripatam Ham Vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanyamishwaram Tat Sat. So reading from the 7th canto, 2nd chapter, verse number 1. Shri Narada Uvacha Bhattari evam vinihate Karina Krodha Murtina Hiranyakashipu Rajan Prayata Prayatyapya Rusha Susha Shingade Bhagwan ki jai Bakraj Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. So translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaramita Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Sri Narada Muni said, my dear king Yudhishthira, when Lord Vishnu in the form of Varaha, the boar, killed Hiranyaksha, Hiranyaksha's brother Hiranyakashipu was extremely angry and began to lament. Purport. Yudhishthira had inquired from Narada Muni why Hiranyakashipu was so envious of his son Prahlad. Narada Muni began narrating the story by explaining how Hiranyakashipu had become a staunch enemy of Lord Vishnu. Hare Krishna. So, this conversation is between Yudhishthira Maharaj and Narada Muni, and Narada Muni is explaining the history of Prahlad Maharaj. So, history of Narasimha's appearance. So, this is the great advantage. So, when somebody is a Uttamadhikari Bhakta, so when great stalwart devotees like Narada Muni, so comes and gives them association. So it is the greatest of the fortunes. So we may think, what is the greatest fortune in life? Whether to have good family, good wealth, so or good sons, so a lot of wealth, aristocratic relatives. So what is the real benefit? What is the real fortune in life? So the real fortune in life is to have the association of great souls like Narada Muni. So association of great exalted Vaishnavas. So they can bring all auspiciousness into our lives. And yesterday, I would like to reiterate what Anupam Mukunda Prabhu was saying, that if somebody's planetary positions are all deliberated. So the only thing what can be done is such a person should come to the association of devotees. If he comes to the association of devotees, then all good fortune will begin. So Yudhishthira Maharaj had inquired from Narada Muni. So why Hiranyakashipu was so envious of his son Prahlad, and here Narada Muni is narrating this pastime. So fortunate to hear from Narada Muni, somebody like Narada Muni. So text 2. Aha chedam rushau purnaha sandasta dashanachada kopojvala bhayam chakshurabhyam dirakshana dumran ambaram. Filled with rage and biting his lips, Hiranyakashipu gazed at the sky with eyes that blazed in anger, making the whole sky smoky. Thus he began to speak. Purport. As usual, the demon is envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and inimical towards him. There were Hiranyakashipu's external bodily features as he considered how to kill Lord Vishnu and devastate his kingdom, Vaikuntha Loka. So somebody, so in today's world, people are not even aware of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here we find all the descendants of Hiranyakashipu in today's modern world. So all these atheistic scientists, so philosophers, So they're all envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, and here Hiranyakashipu is looking at the sky and declaring his war against the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu. Verse number 3. Karala damstrogna drishtya dushparekshya brukti mukhaha sulam udhyamya sadasi danava idam abravit. Exhibiting his terrible teeth, fierce glance, and frowning eyebrows, terrible to see, he took up his weapon, a trident, and then began speaking to his associates, the assembled demons. Text number 4 and 5. Bobo Danava Daityeya Vimurdam Trayaksha Sambhara Shato Baho Hayagriva Namuche Paka ila Ilvala Viprachitte Mamavacha Puloman Shakundayaha Shrutananarthanam Sarve Kriyatam Asuma Chiram. O Danavas and Daityas, O Vimurtha, Traksha, Sambara and Satabahu, O Hayagriva, Namuchi, Paka and Ilvala, O Viprachiti, Pulman, Shakuna and other demons, all of you kindly hear me attentively and then act according to my words without delay. So there was a great assembly of demons. So they were all a party together, and Hiranyakashipu is addressing all of them. So you hear all of you hear from me very carefully. What is the next course of action? What am I planning to do? So similarly in the material world also, so people become very puffed up. So then they are surrounded by aristocratic relatives. So they get immense strength. So sometimes we see even in the history of Srimad Bhagavatam, like once Kamsa had come to his senses when Durga Devi appeared when he wanted to kill the eighth child. So she was Mother Durga Devi herself. So she disappeared from Kamsa's hands, and she rose up to the sky and she declared to Kamsa, like, the person who is supposed to kill you has already been born. So uh, and you will be facing the reaction for all the sinful activities, whatever you have done. So he had come to his senses. So at one point of time, and he wanted to refine himself. He wanted to correct himself. So, but in due course of time, so all his demoniac associates had assembled and they started glorifying him. They also made, they glorified him, and they were all emulating him of all the various deeds, how he had killed various demons, how he had subdued Kuvalyapida and made him his slave. So, and all the glorious acts of Kamsa, they glorified and said, so maybe a few of the demons may be killed. So we are all still there to support you for all of your nefarious activities, and we will be there with you. So, and fight with you tooth and nails to ensure that Krishna and Balaram are finished. So then Kamsa again became enraged. So sometimes, and he lost all his good composure again. So just he was enlightened for some time, and again the enlightenment gets covered by bad association. So therefore, association plays a very important role in everybody's life. So we should be very, very careful to whom are we associating with us, and we also develop such desires. So therefore, it is recommended that the greatest fortune in this world is to associate with the devotees of the Lord. So here, Hiranyakashipu is also proud of his demoniac friends who are all supporting his cause. So he is summoning all of them, and he is trying to wage a battle now. Saptanair gatita kshudrair Bharta me daitya suhrata Pashni grahena harina Samenya Upadhanavai. My insignificant enemies, the demigods, have combined to kill my very dear and obedient well-wisher, my brother Hiranyaksha. Although the Supreme Lord Vishnu is always equal to both of us, namely the demigods and demons, this time being devotedly worshipped by the demigods, he has taken their side and helped them kill Hiranyaksha. Purport. So as stated in Bhagavad Gita 9.29, Samoham Sarvabhuteshu, the Lord is equal to all living entities. Since the demigods and demons are both living entities, how is it possible that the Lord was partial to one class of living entities and opposed to the another? Actually, it is not possible for the Lord to be partial. Nonetheless, since the demigods and the devotees always strictly follow the Supreme Lord's orders, because of sincerity, they are victorious over the demons, who know that the Supreme Lord is Vishnu, but do not follow his instructions because of constantly remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu. The demons generally attain Saija Mukti after death. The demon Hiranyakashipu accused the Lord of being partial because the demigods worshipped him. But in fact, the Lord, like the government, is not partial at all. The government is not partial to any citizen. But if a citizen is law-abiding, he receives abundant opportunities for state laws to live peacefully and fulfill his real interests. Hare Krishna. So the Lord is not partial to anybody. Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshosti na priyaha. Ye bhajantu to tama bhaktya nityakta upasate. So Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita 9.29 that he is not partial to anybody. He is equal to everybody. So here Hiranyakashipu is making an accusation that because the demigods ardently worship Lord Vishnu became pleased with them and took their side. The Lord is not partial to anybody. He does not take sides. So he is equally, he is just like the rainfall. So the rainfall falls on a barren land, on the rocks, on the sea. So impartially at all places. So similarly, the sunlight is also equally distributed all over the earth, irrespective of whether it's a poor man's house, a rich man's house. So the sunlight is equally distributed and the equal intensity of the sun is found everywhere. So similarly, the Lord is also not partial to any living entity, but somebody who is a law-abiding citizen. So just like Prabhupada is giving the example of a law-abiding citizen, the law-abiding citizen always receives all the opportunities from the government to flourish in the state, whereas an outlaw is always under the cruel grips of the law department and he is put under the prison bars to ensure that serenity exists in the state. So there is a peaceful condition for people to live. So therefore, here an accusation by Hiranyakashipu is not at all in conjunction with the scriptures, because this is how the demons think. Demons, this is the nature of the demon, to think that he is my enemy, such and such a person is my friend, such and such a person is my enemy. So now I have now I have conquered over my enemies, and few of them are left. I'll kill them in the future. So all these things, the qualities of the demons and the demigods are explained in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. If somebody wants to know, so the divine and the demoniac qualities, they have to read chapter number 16 of Bhagavad Gita. So here we see that the Lord is equipoised. He is not partial to anybody. Hare Krishna. So anybody has any doubts here? So I'm audible to everybody?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu. Prabhuji,
No.
here, like in a one way, in a materialistic way, Hiranyakashipu is making a right statement only.
No.
Because demigods always worship the Lord, and that's the way Lord also favoring them. The demons never worship the Lord, and the Lord is not favoring them. This is one point. Another point is he's agreeing or saying that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is equal to everyone.
Very good.
somehow they worshipped. That's why he supported them. Because whoever worship the Lord, that is a dharma. Our dharma is to follow the Lord. So demigods worshipped the Lord, and Lord protected them.
Yeah.
Like
The Lord is equal to everybody. Just like a father, Prabhupada gives this example. Just like a father, he is impartial to, like he likes all the children, but he has his own children also. So he loves his own children more than other children. But as a father, he also likes all the other children also. So similarly, we have to see that how the Lord has provided facilities for everybody to flourish in this world. So even the demons, the atheists, we see that many industrialists, many people who exploit the resources of this material world, so they become very rich men in the society. So sometimes we see the devotees are in a very poor, very materially impoverished condition. So it is not that the Lord is not giving opportunity for the atheist or the non-devotees, or is he envious of anybody. We see that all these materialistic men also flourish. So, but and the devotees are in an impoverished condition sometimes. So all these things goes to show that Lord is not partial to anyone. He is impartial. And anybody who wants to become an ardent devotee of the Lord, anybody who wants to become a sincere devotee of the Lord gives him all opportunities to worship him, go back to him, love him. So all the opportunities are available to everybody. So therefore, here we see that the Lord is impartial. 7.8, 7 to 8 verses number 7 to 8. Tasya tekta swabhavasya grihaner maya vanaukasha bhajantam bhajamanasya falasevyastri tridatmanaha Bachulo binna grivasya burina rudirena vai ashra priyam tarpayasye varataram me gatavyata. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has given up his natural tendency of equality towards the demons and demigods. Although he is the Supreme Person, now influenced by Maya, he has assumed the form of a boar to please his devotees. The demigods, just as a restless child leans towards someone, I shall therefore serve Lord Vishnu's head from his. I will sever Lord Vishnu's head from his trunk by my trident, and with profuse blood from his body, I shall please my brother Hiranyaksha, who was so fond of sucking blood. Thus shall I too be peaceful. Purport. The defect of demoniac mentality is expressed in this verse very clearly. Hiranyakashipu thought that Vishnu also became partial like a child whose mind is not steady or resolute. The child can change his mind at any time. Hiranyakashipu thought, and therefore his words and activities are like those of children. Actually, because the demons are ordinary human beings, their minds change, and being materially conditioned, they think that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is also conditioned also. As the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 9.11, Avajananti Mamuda Manusham Karmashritaha. Fools deride me when I descend in a human form. Demons always think that Vishnu can be killed, therefore, being absorbed in the thoughts of Vishnu's form to kill him. At least they have the opportunity to think of Vishnu unfavorably, although they are not devotees. Their thinking of Vishnu is effective, and thus they generally attain Saijamukti. Because the demons consider the Supreme Lord an ordinary living being, they think that they can kill Lord Vishnu as one might kill an ordinary person. Another fact disclosed herein is that demons are very much fond of sucking blood. Indeed, all of them are meat eaters and bloodsuckers. Hiranyakashipu accused the Supreme Lord of having a restless mind like that of a small child who can be induced to do anything if simply offered some cakes and laddus. Indirectly, this indicates that the true position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who says in Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati Tadham Bhaktya Upahatam Asnami Prayatatmanaha. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. The Lord accepts the offerings of devotees because of their transcendental love. Because they are in love with the Supreme Lord, they do not eat anything without offering it first to the Lord. The Lord do not hanker for a small leaf or flower. He has enough to eat. Indeed, he is feeding all the living entities nonetheless because he is very merciful and is Bhaktavatsala, very favorable to the devotees. He certainly eats whatever they offer him with love and devotion. This quality should not be misjudged to be childish. The highest quality of the Supreme Lord is that he is Bhaktavatsala. In other words, he is always extremely pleased with his devotees. As for the word Maya, when he used in reference to the dealings of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his devotees, this means affection. The action of Lord to favor his devotees are not disqualification but signs of his natural affection. As for Rudira or blood of Lord Vishnu, since there is no possibility of severing Lord Vishnu's head from his body, there is no question of blood. But the garland that decorates Vishnu's body is as red as blood. When the demons achieve Saija Mukti and leave behind their sinful activities, they are blessed by Vishnu's garland, which is red like blood. After attaining Saija Mukti, the demons are sometimes promoted to the Vaikuntha world where they receive the reward of the Lord's garland Sada. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So, a very interesting purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has given up his natural tendency of equalities. Here, Hiranyakashipu is thinking in terms of his conditioned life. So, every living entity in this conditioned world is thinking in terms of me and mine. So, mostly into the bodily conception of life. So, under the influence of the bodily conception of life, everybody thinks. So, Grahakshetra Sutapta Vidya Janasya Mohoham Aham Mameti. Everybody is thinking of me and mine. So this me and mine mentality is the cause of suffering in this material world. Everybody is thinking in terms of me and mine. They have divided the entire geographical uh, world into different countries, and they claim this to belong to the human race, and they have divided these nations, divided the whole world in terms of nations: India, Pakistan, America, China, Russia, and claiming the land which actually belongs to God as to that particular community or race or country, and exploiting the resources of this world for their own sense gratification. So similarly, anybody under the bodily conception of life is thinking that so he is an American, he's an Indian, he's a Pakistani, he's a Chinese. So all these conceptions are due to one's bodily conception of life, because one thinks that this body is all in all. So therefore, here we see that Hiranyakashipu is also under the bodily conception of life, and he is thinking that because somebody is Lord is somebody who is looking for somebody's worship, somebody's somebody's puja. So actually, the Lord is self-satisfied. He is Atma Rama. He does not look for anybody's worship. So if a person worships Lord Vishnu, it is for his own benefit. So if a person worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is the most beneficial activity a person can do for one's own self. It is not that the Lord is looking for worship from a devotee. So though the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Pranashyati Tadmad Bhakta Upartam Asnami Prayata. So here the Lord is not looking for flower, fruit leaf, or anything else, because the Lord is actually the maintainer of all the living entities. Nityo Nityanam Chetana Chetanam Eko Bhunam Yo Vidadate Kaman. As the Upanishads say, that he is the one person who is maintaining all other dependent living entities. So we are all dependent on the Lord for our sustenance. It is not that the Lord is looking for something from us. In fact, the Lord is maintaining everybody. This fact we have to understand. And here the Lord is not looking for some puja, or the Lord is not looking for some foodstuffs what we are going to offer him. In fact, he is looking for that transcendental loving relationship. So just like the Lord becomes pleased, Prabhupada gives an example. Like the father maintains the child, the father brings everything for the child. So the mother cooks everything, uh, and the finally finally, when the child offers it back to the parents become jubilant. So by the affection offered by the child. So similarly, the Lord is looking for that affection from the devotee. So in fact, our constitutional position is to be happy in that relationship with the Supreme Lord. So we are all dependent enjoyers, and our constitutional position is to serve the Lord. That constitutional position as the servants of the Supreme Lord, or in any one of the five primary rasas. So like Dasya, Sakya, Shanta, Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, Madhurya. So any of the five primary relationships. Is the Lord? The Lord is not looking for what we are offering, but He is in fact of looking for that affection. So we see that also in the case of in the case of Duryodhana. So Duryodhana somehow was a very diplomatic person. So he wanted to bring all the people to his side. When when the whole world was divided into two parties between the Pandavas and the Kauravas, by his diplomatic methods, Duryodhana was trying to allure people to his side. So one of the victim of such allurement was Shalya, who was the king of uh, the South Indian kingdom, the Madarasa dynasty. So somehow he was allured by Duryodhana, and Duryodhana gave him such a wonderful reception. So that instead of joining the side of the Kauravas, so he joined the side of the instead of joining the side of the Pandavas, he joined the side of the Kauravas. So in his diplomatic strategy of alluring people to his side, so he was also trying to do the same thing with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So he offered a big feast for the Supreme Lord, and the Supreme Lord was invited for the feast. He said that, my Lord, you can occupy Dushasana's palace because Dushasana's palace is better than mine. So he wanted to keep the brothers also together. So he wanted yes man around him. And Dushasana was such an yes man who would always say yes for whatever his brother would say. So therefore, to keep him happy, he had a better palace for his brother than him. They said, my Lord, you please accept the palace of Dushasana. And he also wanted to keep all the 100 brothers together, so that they will not take sides. So such a diplomatic uh, strategy to keep people together. So, but it is not based around keeping the Lord in the center or pleasing the Lord. So we see all the plans of Duryodhana ultimately failed. The Lord did not accept his invitation. Rather, he went to Vidura's house and he ate the peels of the banana which was offered by Vidura's wife. So we can see from this pastime, the Lord is more interested in the loving reciprocation. So Vidura's wife was so much pleased with the Lord that she almost forgot herself, seeing the beautiful form of the Lord. So seeing the Lord's beautiful face, smiling face, so she lost herself and indeed offered. So indeed offered the banana peels instead of the actual banana. So, but still the Lord was pleased with it, and he ate the banana peels. So this is what the Lord is looking for. The Lord is looking for the love, the reciprocation of love from his devotees. So here, and the demons are very much inclined towards breaking the laws of God. They are more interested in meat eating, so gambling, illicit sex, intoxication. So here, as the statement goes, Hiranyakashipu himself is saying that my brother was very much fond of sucking the blood. Indeed, so the meat eaters, so who all violate the laws of God, so they are bound to get this uh, punishment from the Lord. So all the living entities in this material world are all children of God. So the Lord can never tolerate injustice. It's not that he is partial to some living entity and is partial to humans and impartial to the animals. So for him, it is the same law. So everybody is a children of God. Prabhupada gives this example. So Prabhupada often says, suppose there are five children and one of them is not one of them is not of sound mind. So if all the other four brothers come and say, anyway, this person is not of sound mind, can we kill him and eat? So will the father accept such a proposal? So indeed, we should also think how the material world, how the Lord is equally disposed towards all his children. So irrespective of whatever form they may be in amongst the 8,400,000 species of life. So the Lord is not interested in the form. He is equally, dispenses the same justice to all the living entities. So therefore, why the Lord was inclined towards the demigods? Because the demigods were naturally inclined towards the Lord, following his injunctions, following his rules. So, and here Hiranyakashipu is mistakenly understood the Lord. He's saying that the Lord can be allured by some small gifts. He does not know the position of the Lord. So it is natural for all the living people who are not keeping the Lord in the center, for them to arrive at different opinions based under the influence of the material energy of the Lord is natural. So therefore, we have so many opinions in this material world about the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So as to the Lord is impersonal, the Lord is partial, the Lord is uh, the the Lord is uh, impersonal, or he is only in the Brahman future. So and various other atheistic conceptions like everything is coming from the material nature. Material nature is the source of everything. So the chemical evolution theory, the Darwin's theory, so all these different kinds of theories and opinions are all arising out of this atheistic conception of life. Hare Krishna. So devotees have any doubts here, any clarification be given, please, and any comments also can be given. We can proceed. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Dhyanapo Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhu.
That is
Prabhuji, just like as we heard now that the Lord is not partial to all the living entities or demons or whatever it is we have heard. I mean, he is equal to all. So now if you see like now these demons also, they get Sahija Mukti. So in a way, they are more fortunate than the people who doesn't even get the mercy of the Lord. So when we see like we have two categories. When we say the devotees who are always will be thinking of the Lord and serving the Lord, and the demons, though they're in a negative way, they're thinking of the Lord. So finally, at the end, both are getting the mercy of the Lord in a different way. But what about the case where uh, the one who is in neither that or this? So, what would be the position of such living entities? Uh, can you
Mataji.
explain on this, Prabhu? Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what happens. Suppose somebody thinks of the Lord favorably, somebody thinks of the Lord unfavorably. So we see in both the cases, uh, like in case of devotees, so the Lord is favorably disposed, and they get they engage in the transcendental loving relationship with the Lord. That is one thing. So in case of the demons, because they are constantly remembering the Lord, they are constantly thinking of the Lord. So they also, by the dint of their meditation upon the Lord, anybody who thinks of the Lord will be favorably disposed to the Lord, because that is the nature of the Lord. Anybody thinks of the Lord, whether favorably or unfavorably, so they accordingly get their destination, just like the non-devotees get just like the demons get the Sahaja Mukti. So whereas people who are neither demoniac nor devotees of the Lord, what is their destination? So all these people, so they fall under different categories of this. There are 4 types of people, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that four kinds of people who do not come to him. Namam dushtitino muda prapadyante naradama maya apaharita jnana asuram bhavam ashitaha. So people who are atheistic usually, so they partake to the uh, these atheistic and demoniac views. So just like we see that in case of Hiranyakashipu also, he is taking shelter of the atheistic and demoniac views. Like he says that the God Vishnu can be killed. I will kill Vishnu. He's thinking that he can kill just like killing an ordinary person. So just like Krishna says in the 9th chapter, 11th verse of the Bhagavad Gita, Avajananti mam muda manusham tarimashitaha parambhava majanato mama aveya manuttamam. So the demoniac people think that Vishnu's body is not transcendental, it is material. When he comes to this material world to perform his leela, so he takes the material body. So therefore, so all these atheistic views and demoniac views, like Krishna taking a body, giving up the body, all these things does not appeal to the Lord, because the Lord is not a product of this material energy. So and the Lord is not influenced by the material energy. So just like the conditioned living entities are influenced by the material energy. So actually, in fact, the Maya Shakti is also the energy of the Lord. So therefore, all these different people who are deluded by the material energy of the Lord, so they have to keep entering the cycle of the samsara, janma, mrityu, jara, vyadi. So unless they get the mercy of a pure devotee of the Lord, so unless they till the point they get the mercy of a pure devotee of the Lord, they have to keep moving in the samsara chakra. So and face the uh, results of their good and bad activities. So it is a result of their karmic activities. So there is no other way apart from this. So therefore, getting the mercy of a pure devotee of the Lord is very, very essential, and it is the rarest of the gifts one can get. Mataji, Hare Krishna. So we can go to the next shloka.
Thanks,
Yes,
Prabhuji. I
Mataji.
was sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, thanks, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So text number 9, we have 11 more minutes left. Tasmin kute hite naste kritye mule vanaspatau vitapa iva sushyanti vishnu prana divaukasham. When the roof of a tree is cut and the tree falls down, its branches and twigs automatically dry up. Similarly, when I have killed this diplomatic Vishnu, the demigods for whom Lord Vishnu is the life and soul, will lose the source of their life and wither away. Purport. The difference between the demigods and the demons is here explained. The demigods always follow the instructions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whereas the demons simply plan to disturb or kill him. Nevertheless, sometimes the demons very much appreciate the full dependence of the demigods upon the mercy of the Lord. This is indirect glorification of the demigods by the demons. Hare Krishna. So here we see that the clear definition is given by the demons themselves about the demigods, that the demigods are completely dependent on the Lord. They're completely dependent on the mercy of the Lord and faithfully follow the instructions of the Lord. So that's the reason. Anybody who faithfully follows the instructions of the Lord, maybe in any form or any body they may have, if they faithfully follow the instructions of the Lord, they are considered demigods. And anybody who is not faithful to follow the injunctions of the scriptures, so they're considered demons. So just as the Lord says in the 16th chapter, 23rd verse of Bhagavad Gita, Ya Shastram Vidhi Muchijya, Vastate Kama Kartaha, Nasa Siddhi Mavapnoti, Nasukam Na Paramgati. The demigods faithfully follow the injunctions of the scriptures. So Maya Abharita Jnana. So therefore, we see that there are different categories of the demoniac people. So who do not respect the scriptures, who give a misinterpretation to the scriptures. So, and who deviate the people from faithfully following the scriptures. So all these different categories of people, they are neither happy in this world nor will they get a higher destination. So devotees who faithfully follow the process, they may have weaknesses. So they may have weaknesses of the heart. So, but still, if they faithfully follow the process, take the shelter of a pure devotee, gradually their faith will become firm and strong in following the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, under all circumstances, stick to the right path. So follow the Guru Parampara, stay in the association of devotees, and go ahead. So this is more conducive for your spiritual progress. So then taking to the atheistic views. Hare Krishna. So text number 10. Tavadyata bhuvam yuyam brahmakshatra sameditam sudhyayavam tapo yagna swadhyaya vartadhanina. When I am engaged in the business of killing Lord Vishnu, go down to the planet Earth, which is flourishing due to Brahminical culture and Kshatriya government. These people engage in austerity, sacrifice, Vedic study, regulative vows, and charity. Destroy all people thus engaged. Purport. Hiranyakashipu's main purpose was to disturb the demigods. He planned first to kill Lord Vishnu, so that with Lord Vishnu's death, the demigods would automatically weaken and die. Another of his plan was to disturb the residents of the planet Earth. The peace and prosperity of the residents of the Earth and all other planets are maintained by the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Chaturvarna Maya system Gunakarma Vibhagashaha. According to the three modes of material nature and the work ascribed to them, the four divisions of human society were created by me. On all the planets, there are different types of residents, but the Lord recommends referring especially to the planet Earth, which is inhabited by human beings. The society be divided into four varnas: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Before the advent of Lord Krishna on this earth, it is understood that the earth was managed by the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas. The duty of the Brahmanas is to cultivate sama, peacefulness, dhamma, self-control, titiksha, tolerance, satyam, truthfulness, saucham, cleanliness, and arjavam, simplicity. And then to advise the Kshatriya king how to rule the country or planet. Following the instructions of the Brahmanas, the Kshatriya should engage the populace in austerity, sacrifice, Vedic study, and adherence to the rules and regulations established by Vedic principles. They should also arrange for the charity to be given to the Brahmanas, sannyasis, and temples. This is godly arrangement of Brahminical culture. People are inclined to offer yagna because unless sacrifices are offered, there will be insufficient rain. Yagnad Bhavanti Parjanya, which will hamper agricultural activities. Parjanya Anna Sambhavaha. By introducing Brahminical culture, therefore, Kshatriya government should engage people in performing yagna, studying the Vedas, and giving charity. Thus, people will receive their necessities for life very easily, and there will be no disturbance in the society in this regard. Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Ishtan Bhogan hi o deva dasyante yagna bhavitaha tayardattan apradhyabhyo yobhumtestena evasha. In charge of various necessities of life, the demigods, being satisfied by the performance of yagna, supply all necessities to man, but he who enjoys these gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. The demigods are authorized supplying agents who act on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu. So therefore, they must be satisfied with the performance of prescribed yagnas in the Vedas. There are different kinds of yagnas prescribed for different kinds of demigods, but all are ultimately offered to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For one who cannot understand what Supreme Personality of Godhead is, sacrifice to the demigods is recommended. According to the different material qualities of the process concerned, different types of yagnas are recommended in the Vedas. Worship of different demigods is also on the same basis, namely according to different qualities. For example, the meat eaters are recommended to worship the goddess Kali, the ghastly form of material nature, and before the goddess and sacrifice of animals is recommended. But for those in the mode of goodness, the transcendental worship of Vishnu is recommended. Ultimately, all yagnas are meant for gradual promotion to transcendental position. For ordinary men, at least five yagnas known as pancha yagna are necessary. Hare Krishna. So here we see that Hiranyakashipu is very confident. here, and he is thinking that he can kill Lord Vishnu. So this is the nature of the demons. So that they think that they're capable. So they are all in all. So everything is centered around them. So they're capable of Ishvaroham Maham Bhogi Siddhoham Balavan Sukhi. So he is the enjoyer, and anybody who comes on the way of his enjoyment can be killed by his plans. So here the same nature is found in Hiranyakashipu also. So, and he is also well aware that how how things flourish in this material world. So flourishing due to Brahminical culture and Kshatriya government, these people engage in austerity, sacrifice, Vedic study, and regulative vows and charity. Destroy all people thus engage. So Brahminical culture, Kshatriya government. So these are two powerful uh, tools to maintain peace and prosperity in the world. So people of today's world, they do not know how to be happy. So uh, forsaking Brahminical culture. So where is the question of Kshatriya government? So because when the whole society is not divided according to the institution of Varna and Ashrama. So there can be no peace and prosperity in the world because nobody follows Brahminical culture and there is no Kshatriya government. So peace and prosperity is possible only when we follow the system given by Krishna. So peace and prosperity does not mean that an abundant increase in the economic development. So actually, people even do not know what is economic development according to the Vedic system. So wealth means land and cows. So this is actual wealth. So not the paper money. So much chaos in today's world is all the result of paper money. So Prabhupada would say that at least gold should become the standard of exchange. So here now we have gold standardized currency. So gold standardized currency. So the amount of so the currency notes are printed according to the reserve of the gold in the country. So anytime the government may change its policy and the currency notes may become equivalent to paper. So this we have seen in the recent past also. So how everything is becoming meaningless. So how the governments are becoming completely meaningless. So because of this paper currency. So real wealth is the land and the cows. The peace and the prosperity of the residents of the earth and all other planets were maintained by the Brahmanas and Kshatriyas. The Lord says that Chaturvarnamaya system guna karma vibhagashaha. So if people have to be peaceful in this world, they have to follow this Brahminical culture. There should be Vedic study, performance of austerity. So the Brahmanas should develop all these wonderful qualities of Shama, Dama, Tapas, Saucham, Shanti, Marjava, Devacha, Jnana, Vijnana, Mastikyam, Brahmakarma, Subhava. So when the Brahmanas live the life of the Brahmanas, then the Kshatriyas are duty bound to follow the Brahmanas. So this is how the Brahminical culture becomes the basis of prosperity in this world, but not otherwise. And study means the study of the Vedic scriptures. Real knowledge means knowledge coming from the Vedas. So Vedic knowledge was in itself sufficient to maintain everything in this world, to create anything, even to the extent of creating aeroplanes, or creating missiles or whatever weapons you want. Everything can be done with the study of by the study of Vedas. So everything is there. The knowledge is completely there. So it is not that the knowledge is not. Nothing is beyond the scope of Vedic culture or beyond the scope of Vedas, because Vedas are coming directly from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the knowledge is complete. So nobody needs to have any doubts regarding this matter. So the knowledge coming from Vedas is complete in itself. So for a person to sustain and maintain himself in this material. So therefore, the study of the Vedas, the austerities, the performance of Brahminical, the study of Vedas. So following Brahminical culture, sacrifices, austerities. So everything needs to be followed So when the Brahminical culture is there, the Kshatriyas ensure that all these things are properly taken care of. So therefore, if people want to be really happy in this world and also attain the destination of life, they have to follow the Vedic culture. So that's the purport what we can derive from this statement, from the purport to this verse. So now the time is 9:32. So we can take a question or two and we can end the class for the day. Hare Krishna. If anybody has any doubts?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Anupam.
Prabhuji, quite related to this topic, Prabhu. Prabhu, have one doubt that what is the difference between the Rajarshi and Brahmarshi, Prabhuji?
So Rajarishi. So Rajarishi is a person who is on the level of a sage. So he is equally conversant with the scriptural knowledge like that of a Brahmana, and who leads their life based on the based on the instructions given by the Brahmanas. So Brahmarishi is a person who has attained the status of the knowledge of Brahman. He has attained self-realization. So just like Vishwamitra, he became a Brahmarishi. So he attained the knowledge of Brahman and he became a Brahmarishi. So later on, he became a devotee of the Lord. So by the association of the Lord, when the Lord appeared as Lord Ramachandra. Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Means here Rajarishis, so they are also in the process of self-realization, Prabhu.
Yeah, they have taken to the process of self-realization. So not only taking to the process of self-realization, they also ensure that everybody follows the path. So that's the duty of the king. The king is a direct representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when he is representing the Lord, he has to follow the injunctions given by the Lord. So they have to follow the Varnashrama system. So and ensure that everybody is doing their duty perfectly. The Brahmanas are doing their duty perfectly. The Vaishyas are doing their duty perfectly. The Kshatriyas are doing their duty perfectly. The Shudras are doing their duty perfectly. Nobody can transgress or perform another person's duty. So that way, the whole civil, there is no question of unemployment. Everybody is engaged in their respective prescribed duties. So unlike the world of today, where we find so much of unemployment, there's no question of unemployment. So the king has to ensure that everybody is employed in some way or the other. Raja Rishi is one who follows the injunctions of the scriptures according to the advice of the Brahmanas.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Hare
Hare Krishna. So anybody wants to comment? So you can comment. So tomorrow we'll be reading verse number 11. We have completed 10 verses today. So thank you all very much for joining. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
And Prabhuji, one question asked by Narasimha Prabhu.
Yeah,
So whether these classes will be there daily like that?
Yeah, daily. So we'll be having these classes every day. So starting from today, so we can all join. So study Srimad Bhagavatam together. So the whole idea of starting these classes is again to ensure that there is a lot of auspiciousness in our own lives. So we can become more and more surrendered to Guru and Gauranga, taking shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. So, and anyway, the lockdown is going on now. It's a good opportunity for us to become more Krishna conscious. So in today's scenario, so where there's so much disturbance outside, so much propaganda in the media about this corona, the disease, so people are getting mentally disturbed also. So our mind should be at all time, place and circumstances be engaged in the service of the Lord. So the discussion on the topics of the Lord will bring us more closer to the Lord. And the Lord also says, Anaham tishtami vaikunte yogina hridayeshava Yatra gayante mad bhakta tatra tishtami narada. So wherever my glories are discussed, I will be there. So the Lord will be there wherever Bhagavatam is discussed. So let's all read Bhagavatam, hear Bhagavatam, read, discuss from Prabhupada's purports. So and keep ourselves Krishna conscious. Okay, so we'll have classes every day. So between 8:30 to 9:30. Okay. So thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. Ratra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha.